What if your biggest success didn't happen until after you turned 65? What if the world said you were too old, too poor, too late? Well, one man heard all that, and still built a global empire with nothing but a fried chicken recipe and fierce determination. This is the story of Colonel Harland Sanders, and it's one of the most unbelievable comeback stories you'll ever hear. Harland Sanders was born in 1890, in a small, worn-down farmhouse in Henryville, Indiana. He was just 6 years old when tragedy struck. His father passed away suddenly, leaving his family in emotional and financial turmoil. With his mother forced to work long hours at a tomato cannery just to keep food on the table, little Harland had no choice but to grow up fast. At an age when most kids were learning to read and play, he was standing on a wooden stool in their tiny kitchen, cooking meals for his younger siblings. That's where his love for food began, not in a fancy school, but in survival. By age 10, he was already out working on a farm, doing hard labor from sunrise to sunset. At 12, he dropped out of school entirely, not because he didn't care, but because life wouldn't let him stay. And from there, it was a constant struggle to find stability. He wore many hats, and none seemed to fit for long. He was a farmhand, a streetcar conductor, a railroad worker. He studied law for a short time and even practiced, until a courtroom brawl with his own client ended that chapter. He tried selling insurance. That didn't work either. Then, he became a steamboat pilot, a fireman, even a tire salesman. Every job seemed to end in the same way, failure or being fired. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't aimless. He just couldn't catch a break. But through it all, there was one thing he could count on: his ability to cook. And in his 30s, when he managed a humble service station in Corbin, Kentucky, he started feeding hungry travelers out of necessity. No fancy dining room. Just a few tables in the back. He'd cook whatever he had on hand, but one dish kept customers coming back: his fried chicken. It wasn't like anything else. He had crafted a unique seasoning. A blend of 11 herbs and spices that gave it a bold, unforgettable flavor. Word spread. People weren't just stopping for gas anymore, they were coming for his chicken. So he expanded. Opened a proper restaurant. He was finally living the dream. But then, life hit him again. In the 1950s, the government built a new interstate highway, and it completely bypassed his small town. In a matter of months, the once busy road outside his restaurant went silent. The customers vanished. So did his income. Harland Sanders, now in his 60s, lost it all. He sold his restaurant at a loss. He had only $105 in monthly Social Security to his name. Most people would have accepted defeat. Packed it in. Said, "I'm too old to start over." But not him. Because Harland Sanders still had one thing: his recipe. At age 65, most people start slowing down. But not Harland Sanders. He was broke, with just $105 in the bank. His motel had failed. His restaurant was gone. And all he had coming in was a small Social Security check each month. Most people would have taken that as a sign to retire quietly. But Harland? He refused to give up. Instead, he packed his old car, with nothing but a pressure cooker, some seasoning flour, and a handful of ingredients. No business plan. No investors. No team. Just belief in a recipe, and the fire to keep going. He hit the road. Driving across small towns and big cities, stopping at diners, cafes, mom-and-pop restaurants, anyone who would give him a minute to talk. And his pitch was simple. "Let me cook you my chicken. If your customers love it, we split the profits." Some laughed. Some said he was too old. Others didn't even let him finish the sentence. And then came the rejections. 1009. That's not a typo. Harland Sanders was turned down 1,009 times. That's 1,009 people who told him, "You're wasting your time. You're too late in life. No one wants your chicken." Imagine the toll that takes, sleeping in his car, living off scraps, pitching again the next day, and the next. But he didn't stop. Because he believed in what he was offering. And then, on the 1010th try, a restaurant owner finally said, yes. Harland stepped into the kitchen. Cooked his signature chicken. Crispy, juicy, perfectly seasoned. And the customers? They couldn't get enough. That one, yes, became 2. Then 10. Then dozens. By the late 1960s, Kentucky Fried Chicken wasn't just a good idea, it was a nationwide phenomenon. Over 600 franchises across the US, Canada, and even overseas. And here's the thing. Harland Sanders wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't some Harvard business grad. He didn't go viral. He was a 65-year-old man. Wearing a white suit, string tie, and a kind smile. Standing behind his product with quiet confidence. He didn't rely on luck. He relied on persistence. He kept showing up. Rejection after rejection, he showed up again. In 1964, Colonel Sanders sold KFC for $2 million, the equivalent of over $19 million today. But even after selling, he stayed on as the face of the brand. You've seen that white-haired man with glasses on every bucket, every sign, that's him. He became a global icon. And the numbers? Today, KFC has over 25,000 locations in more than 145 countries. Let that sink in. A man who was considered a failure for most of his life. Built one of the biggest fast food empires in the world. At an age when most people retire. But his real legacy? Isn't just chicken. It's grit. It's the refusal to give up, no matter how many doors slam in your face. It's proving that success has no age limit. He once said, "I made a resolve then that I was going to amount to something if I could. And no hours, nor amount of labor, nor money, would deter me from giving the best that there was in me." He lived by that. And because of that, the world remembers him.
So the next time you think it's too late for you, or that you've failed too many times, remember the Colonel. He failed 1,009 times but only needed one yes. If his story lit a fire in you, tap that like button. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that it's never too late. Drop a comment below, never too late. And don't forget to subscribe. We share stories like this every week to help you rise daily. Because failure isn't the end. It's just the beginning if you refuse to quit.